everyone, welcome to Breakout Wednesday. It is October the 9th, 2019. It's about midday in Perth, 3 p.m. in Sydney, and about midnight in New York. So the markets over the last week, not much has changed from last week's talk. It's chopping sideways, and it's a hard market for trend traders, position traders, breakout traders, all that sort of stuff. Unless you're in and out super quick, it's a hard market still. There's lots of false breakouts and all that sort of stuff. Looking at the NASDAQ chart here, it interests me that there is pretty much an impeachment close to happening in the States, and as that plays out, however it plays out, the market just seems to be holding up. Some part of me just thinks maybe it should have been a bit more trash than it has been. It really isn't going up or down. It's just chopping sideways, and So anyway, it's interesting. There's a lot of stocks that have been hit pretty bad if you look at them individually, but there's a few in the States that are holding up, and I'll go through them in a sec. First of all, there's a lot of new members for ProTrade at the moment, and I'm getting people sending me messages and stuff. So just remember that this is week 16 or something of these chats. This is not financial advice. This is just a video blog of how one trader looks at the market, and it's just a bit of fun and hopefully a bit of education for people. However, it's not advice. Everyone needs to, take responsibility for their own trading decisions. Okay, if you don't have time to look back over all the previous videos, then I do try and keep them to 15 minutes to make it possible, and for people to just quickly listen to these on the way to work or whatever. And I have two accounts, right? So I have a short-term trading account, which I trade breakouts with, and I aggressively trade in the short term and try and compound my gains. And then I have a really long-term investing account, and these two accounts are so different. And I usually just talk about the short-term trading account on these talks. However, the long-term investing account is equally as important to me. I really just buy stocks and ETFs that I really like the fundamentals of, and I will buy them during market corrections and pullbacks, and when everyone's selling, I'll be buying. And that is the long-term investing account. It's very different to the breakout account and the short-term trading account. Okay, so sometimes I'll refer to a long-term account and a short-term account. However, so that's that's the basis of that. Okay, now looking at the market in terms of what's going on in America, we have some of the big stocks setting up and really not being too affected by this sideways chopping range. I just want to run through a couple. Apple, it's up pretty much at all-time highs here. Okay, it had an all-time high back here on the 3rd of October last year. It's taken out that all-time high by a few cents, and maybe this is a massive double top. It might sell off here a bit, but this is relative strength. Okay, this is a major stock that is showing a lot more strength than the indexes, and so this is a stock that I'm looking at carefully, and I would love to own this thing, in the investing account, and I will consider it on a pullback. But it's certainly showing relative strength. The other two main ones showing strength are what some people are referring to as the fashology companies, right? Nike is one. Okay, so Nike's at all-time highs. It had a big earnings report here on the 25th of September, broke out, and it's just kind of basing there. So, Nike's an amazing company. It's amazing how they control the shoe industry. For those who know a bit about shoes, it's they really have a monopoly of it, and they're just very innovative, and they're just really kicking ass, and so. They're just printing money. And the other one, which is similar, is Lululemon, which I've talked about a bunch of times, and had this earnings report, and it's flagged here. And so I'm long Lulu, I'm long Nike too. But anyway, these three companies are looking really strong, and really bucking the sideways range. And so they're not probably ready to just storm up. But if we have an index and overall market that turns around, then I spend time during this period just finding strong stocks and finding stocks that aren't affected by sideways ranging stuff. So let's just flick to the All Ords, the Aussie All Ords. The chart looks pretty much the same as the NASDAQ chart. We had some vicious down days last week, and this thing's chopping sideways. There are a lot of stocks in Aussie which are showing amazing relative strength. Like let's just look at Zip, for example. Amazing, all-time high after all-time high. And if we look at its brother, Afterpay, it's not as strong, but Afterpay's done a lot more, and so there are still stocks going up if you're selective, but it's a lot harder, and there's a lot more false breakouts as a whole. Okay, so what I'm going to do is rattle through a few stocks that I've been in and now I'm out of, and then a few other stocks that I'm watching. Okay, so let's just get started. So EOS, the stock I've talked about for ages, just go back a few weeks or a month now. I'm still in it. I have a stop below the low of this day here at 7.12 below that. So who knows? I mean, what's going to happen there? But I took half. Regular listeners will know I took half off when it rallied up, and then I've still got half. So we're just going to wait for that to play out with a trailing stop loss. It's been one of the better trades lately, so I wish there were more like that around. Flight Centre, I mentioned that I sold half of it when it broke the support line, and then I sold the other half when it broke the support line here. So today it's just plummeted, so I'm kind of happy I got stopped out of that, obviously. But anyway, look, Flight Centre came out with an awful report today and got absolutely hammered, and so this is the stock market for you guys. If falls like this, it makes you feel sick, then this probably isn't the right place for you for those people to park their money. I kind of expect these things to happen a couple times a year. I didn't get caught in today's fall, but I have before, and I will again, and it's just part of trading. So you either have the stomach for it or you don't, unfortunately. And if you don't, then there's plenty of other safer, less volatile places to put cash. Stock I was talking about last week, CUP, traded the breakout, took half off when it stormed up here on this wick, and I've still got half. So I didn't want to keep a full position on this thing. It's pretty illiquid. It's not that illiquid, but it's a little bit illiquid, and I just wanted. It's just a market right now with a lot of false breakouts, so I'm going to trim some as soon as I can, and as soon as I feel comfortable with it, and then I'm going to keep the other half. And I tend to do that even in strong markets, but I'm especially aggressive with it when we have a market that's that's going sideways and prone to false breakouts. Okay, so pretty happy with how Cup's going. Anyway, UWL stopped out at about break even, just on a, we formed this tiny little pivot here, broke up, then broke down. So as soon as it broke down of that pivot, I just bailed out of this on the low of this, high wick bar. So anyway, UWL out of BWX. Okay, I bought this breakout and I've ridden it up, and it didn't quite hit my profit target for the first half, and so I'm still in it, and I'm just going to ride it and see what happens. I have a break-even stop loss, or better than break-even, so I've got a guaranteed profit here unless it gaps below it, and I'm just going to ride it and see if we can get a bit higher. If not, I'll be stopped out for a small gain, so I'll follow that one up with next week. Look, another one that I talked about a month or two ago, which I took a small position on and just mentioned that I was just going to give it time and patience, Bet. So Bet formed this massive base back here, formed another tight range, and it's just been chopping around, and it's just, had a smaller position on it and just kind of gave it as much patience as I could. We got lucky this week. It gapped up, had a huge wick, and I'm bailed on that thing now. So Bet, these bases that set up, they all kind of look the same. We have a breakout, we have a tightening pattern, and then we go, and it just chops around, and it's really hard to stay in it. And there's so many times you just want to sell, but sometimes when you see these bases, you really need to have patience and put stop losses in and just ride moving averages, or put them below. This blue line is the 50-day moving average. Sometimes I plug up trail and stop below it. Sometimes I choose 100. It really depends how much I like the base and I like the setup and how much I even want to give it. But it's hard to make too much money if you take quick profits. And so, it's these major trends and the major moves that really make a good year. Okay. So there's just a few other. I mentioned that I was short Disney, and I mentioned I took half off here. I got short here, took half off here, and then I've got the less. I'm still in it. I'm still waiting for it to get close to this 200-day moving average. So we'll see if it does. But I've obviously got a stop loss about up here. So I've got a guaranteed profit on the second half of that trade. The other one I was talking about short. I just thought I'd follow through a few of these shorts with everyone, just so just out of interest. So I'm still short this thing. I shorted a break below and I'm still short. So I'm in profit again now, but this thing's shopping about and I'm not going to give this thing much more room. If it can have a bit of a move down tonight, I'll probably trim a fair bit of it. Then, okay. All right. So now just moving on to some other stocks that I kind of like at the moment, setting up. And once again, the whole thing at the moment is just being selective and not over trading. Okay. So I like KZR. It's setting up in this big base. If we look at it on a weekly chart, it's based in at all-time highs, and we have really nice volume characteristics. So big volume on the formation here. I mean, there's a big down day here, but there's a massive wick that there's more buying than selling happening on this day. Okay, the only reason the on-balance volume fell is because it closed a tiny bit lower than the day before, but it reached a low on that day of 20 cents and it closed at 23 and its high was only 23.5. So there's way more buying than selling. So the on-balance volume indicator has, many flaws, and this is one of its flaws. So the on-balance volume goes down, but it's not a bearish sign as far as I'm concerned. It's, that's a bullish candle. To me, it'd be awesome to be able to delete that volume bar there and just have the on-balance volume going sideways on that day. But anyway, as a general rule, it's a really good indicator. Then we had an increase in volume here, and now we've had a real volume dry up here, and I like the base, so I'll be having a crack at that one. It's a bit of liquid, so anyway, we'll see how the fills are. The stock I talked about last week, this has come up in a Davis box scan and a Frank's pattern scan. So just for new members, the scan I do to find this Davis box there, and I have basic settings, and let's just change that, sorry. And I scan it. It takes 1 second, boom, and you have your stuff. And let's just quickly scroll down to find this stock I am talking about. My alphabet isn't... okay. I thought I could have sworn it was there, but it's not. It must have come up in a Frank's pattern scan. Let's just quickly do that. Alright, I don't know how that came up, but it definitely came up in numerous Davison scans that I've done over the last few days and last week, but for some reason I can't get it to come up this instance, so I must have some setting wrong, or there must have been something else I did. But anyway, let's just get back to it. So IFN is setting up in a really nice base. It's tight in here. And this is one of those stocks that, the market would be going sideways and, but maybe this thing isn't as correlated to the indexes. And so my theory, I guess, if I take a breakout trade here and, then the Dow's down 500 the next night, then maybe it's not going to be as affected and it's not going to plummet. Whereas if you open a trade in the Commonwealth Bank and the Dow's down 3%, it's going to take a dive. But it doesn't matter if you're long-term investor. But remember, this trade here is for my short-term aggressive account where I'm trying to trade breakouts and momentum and compound profits. So look, to be honest, they're the two main ones I'm looking at. I'm not over trading. I'm keeping an eye on CM8 as well. It's based here, broke out, base in, and this base here is a lot tighter than this initial one. It's reminiscent of the setup I showed you just before in BET, which ended up okay, and so I'm keeping an eye on that one. So KZR, IFN, and CM8 are quite interesting. There's a few others out there, but these ones I like. Now, just on the investing front, remember this is in a different account, and this is literally, I'm in my late 30s, and I have a time horizon here of 40 to 50 years if I'm lucky to live that long and stay healthy. Okay, so I couldn't give two hoots if these things take short-term plummets, and I have talked about CSL before. It's showing some really good relative strength here. It's base in. I'll be nervous buying a breakout on it now if it broke out, but then again, I'm not going to be that nervous, and I like the company. I know a fair bit about it. I don't really talk about the fundamentals too much on these talks because it's really not the time, but the place for it. However, I do like fundamental investing. I'm not just a technician. I read a lot about certain companies anything I invest in for a really, really long time. I spend a hell of a lot of time reading about it. I know what all their latest earnings reports have been dating back about 5 years. I know whether or not they're trending up or trending down. I know what percent they're trending up. And I know whether or not whether or not their growth is decelerating or accelerating, and whether or not the growth is going up in a percentage term every year. And these things are important for long-term investing, in my opinion. I like to understand the businesses. For example, Nike, Lululemon. I can tell you up by heart, how those companies are performing. Okay, so I've gone off on a tangent. However, I do enjoy that stuff as well. However, obviously, the purpose of this is mainly technical analysis. Okay, all right. That is all this week. Good luck and have fun. Catch up.